The Odin Mission by James Holland. Read by Saul Reichlin. 1. Thursday, the 18th of April, 1940. The German invasion of Norway was 9 days old, but in that time the small Norwegian village of Økset had seen little sign of the disaster that faced their peace-loving nation. A few aircraft overhead, that had been all. Indeed, Stig Anvar had listened to the unfolding news on his wireless with a feeling of mounting unreality. Swastikas now flew over the capital, Oslo, over Kristiansand, Stavanger, Bergen, Trondheim, and Narvik, the coastal ports that provided the lifeblood of the country. The king and government had fled, God only knew where to, but His Majesty's voice could still be heard crackling over the airwaves. A number of lads from the village had responded to the general mobilization and had hurried off to Elverum to join their army units, and had since disappeared into that other world where the war was taking place. Where were they now? Still fighting, or prisoners of the Germans? Norwegian resistance in the south was crumbling, that much was obvious. But to the north, British troops had landed at Namsos, and the Royal Navy had sunk a number of German warships. And yet, could these cataclysmic events really be happening? It all seemed so far away. On his farm, Stig still had his pigs to feed, his cows to milk, and his sheep to watch. He had still drunk beer with Turshil Haugen and Jon Kolden in the bar the past 2 Wednesdays, just as they always had. Life had continued during those 9 days with the same unwavering regularity as it had for as long as Stig could remember. In the valley, patches of grey grass were beginning to emerge through the snow, but the landscape was still monochrome, as it often was in April. Spring, a curious time of year, when the days were long and light, with barely more than 3 hours of darkness, but the ground remained stuck in winter, as though it had yet to catch up with the sun. That morning, however, as Stig had dropped in the slops to the pigs, he heard a distant dull thud from the south, followed by further muffled crumps. "Elverum," he muttered to himself, then stomped inside to find his wife. "Guns," he said to her. "From Elverum." Agnes put her hands to her mouth. "My God," she said. "Do you think they'll come here?" Stig shrugged. "It's only a little village," he said. "What do the Germans want with a place like this?" "Oh, Stig, what are we going to do?" "Try to keep calm." He knew it was hardly a helpful comment, but in truth he had no idea what they should do. Their farm was the first house to the south of the village, more than half a kilometre from the next. He wondered whether he should walk into the village to see what everyone else was planning, then dismissed the idea. What would anyone else know? He glanced briefly at Agnes, and could see that she was looking to him for guidance. Angry at his lack of decisiveness, he banged the kitchen table with his fist. Then, avoiding her eye further, headed back out into the yard, where the sound of detonations and explosions from the south was becoming louder and more persistent. What to do for the best? Stay, or pack up the truck and head north? He went over to the shed and opened the bonnet, checked the oil and fuel levels, and that the plugs and points were clean. At one moment he glanced up towards the house, and saw his wife staring at him from the kitchen window, her brows knitted together. Slamming the bonnet down harder than he might otherwise have done, he sighed, kicked at the watery mud on the ground, and strode back across the yard to the farmhouse, into the kitchen, sat down at the table, and drummed his fingers on the aging pine. "Stig, I'm frightened," said Agnes after a few moments' silence. "I'm going to fetch Anton." Stig nodded. Their second son was still at school in the village. "Yes, I think you should," he told her. But then, as she was taking off her apron, he added, "We'll stay put. Stick together. They..."
Sample complete. Ready to continue?